Emergency, emergency, this is an emergency, clear the decks. Such a mess in here, don't judge me. Hello home bakers, I'm calling this emergency intervention special edition of the words from a squeaky desk because of a comment that came in yesterday which I shall now read in full. The comment comes from Chyhart. I want to say your name is Kalan, but I could be wrong, Kalan. It says the following: I couldn't even knead my dough. I'm the worst dough maker. I'm not even inexperienced. I'm just bad at it. Bad with capital letters. I followed to the letter the recipe. I did the pour and scrape for the flour measurement, and for good measure, nice pun, I even weighed it. The recipe I followed had me stir up until it was all messy crumble and knead it either by hand or by mixer. I have a mixer with a bread hook, so I used that. The dough was so hard it was burning my stand mixer. So I started kneading by hand, and it's just so ragged and hard and difficult to work with. I used half bread flour and half all-purpose. Could be my flour, but I'm not sure why the stuff is so dang hard and ragged. Not bouncy, not soft, not sticky or fluffy or wobbly or anything like any of the recipes I've ever followed, so I just assume I suck. It's so annoying, especially when the recipe calls for bread flour or all-purpose. Then it shouldn't matter, because that's what I used. Sad face. I finally gave up, because after 6 minutes of electric kneading and 8 more minutes of manual back-breaking labour, I gave the F up. I don't know what's in the oven, but hopefully it can be turned into like croutons or something. Kalan, the reason I've called this emergency intervention Words from a Squeaky Desk episode is because your message is heartbreaking. So awful. First, I want to talk about what could have gone wrong in your bread dough, and secondly, I want to tell you about the parts of this that made me want to make this video today, because it's not the first time I've heard it. If your dough is that stiff, it sounds like there was too much flour or not enough water. That could be down to your recipe without seeing it. I'm assuming it's not from me because it says messy crumble and then knead it by hand or by mixer, and I never say that. Also says all-purpose flour or bread flour, and I never say that either. So if I was you, I would blame the recipe for being wrong, or maybe you measured it wrong. I know you said for good measure, you even weighed stuff out. Pour and scrape for flour measurement. I'm guessing that is a volume thing, and you weighed it as well, just to be sure. But if it's hard, like you say, like you've described here, so hard it was burning your stand mixer and difficult to work with, something went wrong along the way with the quantity of flour and the quantity of water. That is the explanation. It has to be. Problem would have been fixed with more water or less flour, and if you did exactly what was in the recipe is at fault, not you. Or the measurements were wrong. It's a small thing. It's a small thing. Either the recipe was wrong or you made a small mistake in your weighing stuff out, or both. That's the only explanation. And the other thing that I really want to touch upon here is all the other stuff. I've heard it loads and it's heartbreaking. It is the reason why Bake with Jack exists in the first place. I couldn't even knead my dough. I'm the worst dough maker. I'm not inexperienced. I'm just bad at it. I just assume that I suck. I gave up. I get it. It's frustrating. It's annoying when stuff like this happens, when you don't know why it's happened. That's why the Bake with Jack channel exists. And that's why I exist. Because Bake with Jack was born out of stories like this. Stories of people saying, I made bread 5 years ago and it came out dense and hard and I don't know what happened, so I just gave up. This is one time in a lifetime of doing and trying, and something's clearly gone wrong with the recipe or the measurements. I've done it before. I've got a book before and made a focaccia out of it, and everything was well off. What you're looking for as a guideline here, if it suggests bread flour, all-purpose flour, it's like half a kilo of flour and something around 300, 320, even 350 water. Somewhere in between there would be absolutely fine. Check the recipe. If there's less water in there, well, then you know that's the problem. There's always room for error when you're measuring by volume, but you said you also measured by weight. I'm intrigued. I'd love to see the recipe. If you see this video, drop me an email. Message like these break my heart, and it happens again and again. Somebody even phoned me one time because their donuts were dense and they were in despair. It's all right. It's not your fault. It's not because you're bad at home baking or you're useless or whatever. It's not about that. It's about practice. It's about patience. It's about repetition. And there's other things outside of your control that you can't possibly comprehend. Like the person who wrote the recipe in the first place. Maybe they made a typo. You know? I don't know. This message is bursting with frustration. And I get it. I understand. It's not you. The problem is not you. You can do it. Just understand that it should never be that hard that you can't need it. It should never burn out the motor on your machine. If it's like that, something's gone wrong. Blame your recipe, get another one from me and move on. I hope this video helps you and many other people like you. And if your name's Kalan, well then, try again, Kalan. Use one of my recipes. Good luck, and don't blame yourself for these failures like this. It's not cool at all. It's a tricky journey. And along the way there'll be moments like this, but the more you learn, the more you build your home baker's instincts, the better you'll get at it until you're at the point where stuff like this is just like, oh, remember that time where we got really stiff that time? That went so wrong. I got so worked up about it. Man. Good luck. Take care. And that's it. I hope you see it. See ya.